Tommy was a weird kid. Quiet, soft-spoken, almost timid. I was initially worried something was happening at home that was keeping him so walled off from the other kids. Until I met his folks at a parent-teacher's night at the school. His parents were a very nice young couple and just as eager to ask me about Tommy as I was to ask them. They were just as puzzled about Tommy's soft nature and initially thought he was on the spectrum, although they had yet to have him tested. At recess, Tommy wouldn't interact with the other kids, instead opting out to play alone on the swings or drawing pictures in the dirt with a stick. Until one afternoon, a group of boys in the grade above him got together and decided to make fun of poor quiet Tommy. I saw the whole thing happening from across the playground and began walking over to intervene. One of the kids was a notorious bully, a real gorilla for his age, standing a whole couple heads above other kids. He towered over Tommy with a basketball in hand. I saw him wind up, ready to slam dunk onto Tommy's head, but when he let go of the ball, it just hovered there in mid-air. The ball started to spin, picking up momentum and speed, and went sailing back into the bully's face, breaking his nose and sending him ass over tea kettle to the ground. I was halfway over to them when I saw this. I didn't know what to make of it, but I knew it had something to do with Tommy, who, the whole time mind you, hadn't even looked up from his stick drawing in the dirt. After that, absolutely nobody interacted with little Tommy. Kids, bullies, I even saw ants and other bugs skitter off the other way when he was near. The school I worked in was grades K to 12, so even after Tommy left the first grade, I would still see him around the school. The other staff would congregate in the teacher's lounge at lunches to talk about him and all the weirdness that surrounded him. It's like he could read my mind. I swear, he somehow made all textbooks float up off the desks and hit the floor this morning. Those were just a few of the rumors going around amongst us teachers. I always tried to shy away from gossip. What if Tommy could read minds too? What would he do to us if he could see how hated he really was? Things continued on like this for years. I would smile at Tommy whenever I would see him in the hallways, and things remained uneventful. Until Tommy hit the 9th grade. Tommy had to pair up with a partner for a science lab project, a simple dissection of a frog. From what the teachers of the class told me, he, nor anybody else, had ever seen Tommy so into anything before. He was actively sharing his excitement over the frog's intestines and bones with his less than enthusiastic lab partner. Unfortunately, this is where everything gets really dark. After the class, nobody could find Tommy, his lab partner, and about a dozen scalpels. It wasn't uncommon for students to ditch class, but this was Tommy we're talking about, and his missing partner, and 12 fucking blades. A few teachers, including myself, went to search for him at a recess that day, but there was an unfortunate janitor that found him and the other student. He called all of us to the teacher's lounge, pale-faced and shaking. He said he had called the police and we need to get the students somewhere safe and lock down the school. We all asked what was going on and he told us. He had found Tommy in the upstairs bathroom, dissecting his lab partner, only he wasn't doing it himself, the janitor explained. The scalpels were whizzing around Tommy's screaming lab partner, making incisions and pulling out organs as Tommy sketched everything down into a book. When Tommy saw the janitor, he apparently turned around, nonplussed about the whole thing, and said, "Oh hey Mr. S, I was curious about how Mark worked. Is everybody like this on the inside?" The janitor apparently mustered up a smile and made an excuse about getting back to work before making like a bat out of hell and racing back to us. We quickly put the school into lockdown, the way you would if you had an active shooter in the building. I watched the live feed of the school's security cameras from a laptop in the teacher's lounge to see Tommy roaming the empty halls. Locks broke off of lockers as he passed them, while the doors fluttered open and closed frantically like the panicked wings of butterflies. I could see he was visibly confused, probably wondering where everyone had gone. The police and SWAT arrived pretty quickly. I watched the cameras as they surrounded him. Automatic rifles pointed at his head, probably yelling at him to get on the ground. When Tommy just nonchalantly turned around to walk the other way though, they opened fire. The bullets had barely left their guns before stopping mid-air to reposition themselves and continued their trajectory into their owner's skulls. 5 SWAT team officers hit the floor, dead. All of the staff was huddled like a coven of witches around the laptop now. A coven of middle-aged teachers, salary witches, scared shitless, as we saw on the screen that Tommy now stood outside the teacher's lounge. We all knew what was coming as the door blasted off its hinges. The faculty panicked and threw any close object they could towards Tommy. I remember shouts of, "Get away from me, you little monster," and "I'm not fucking dying like this. I was supposed to retire to Florida this year." Eyes popped out of skulls. Limbs were ripped from sockets with sick, wet, tearing noises, and teachers sailed around the room in the air so fast and with such force that when they hit the ground, they exploded like a balloon full of jelly. And the whole time, I just crouched in the corner, shaking and terrified. Eventually, I was all that was left alive in the room with Tommy. He made his way over to me, as I was sure it was the end. "Mr. H?" He spoke my name the way a student would before asking to use the washroom. "Where is everybody? Did I do something wrong?" I couldn't sugarcoat it. He had spared me to this point, and if nobody was going to tell him what he was doing was wrong, well, how far would he take this? How many more lives would he snuff out? Yes, Tommy. I managed to stammer out. "You've killed these people. You understand that's wrong, don't you?" "I didn't mean to. I was just standing up for myself." I glanced over to the laptop to see more SWAT heading to the teacher's lounge. "Tommy, please," I said as softly and kindly as I could under such duress. "You have to make up for what you've done, okay? Some men are on their way here now to take you somewhere safe. Every crime has a punishment, and what you've done here is a crime." I don't remember my exact words, but they were something like that, and Tommy nodded and raised his hands to the air just as SWAT got to the door. They arrested Tommy, and he remained as calm and emotionless as ever as they led him to an armored truck in the parking lot. The events of that day were largely covered up, and Tommy was placed in a high-security prison. I would visit him from time to time over the years. He told me I was the only one besides some government officials or FBI types, his words, that ever did. I didn't know why he let himself just sit in that prison year after year. I was thankful about it though. I thought whatever words I managed to squeak out to him before his arrest must have really stuck. He hadn't changed a whole lot mentally either, it seemed. He was still very much that quiet kid drawing pictures in the dirt I remembered from long ago. But the reason I'm writing this, the reason I've broken as many years of silence as I have NDAs on the matter, is because last night I got a call from the prison. 2 guards that patrolled Tommy's cell were found dead, and he was nowhere to be found. I don't know if he just finally got bored or what. It doesn't help matters that he's grown into the most average, unassuming looking man ever. Caucasian, average height and build, hazel eyes. He could be anywhere right now, and it has been a while since I last visited him. God help me if he decides I hadn't made the right call after all, and he wants payback for all the years he spent just whittling time away behind bars. Tommy, if you're reading this right now, I'm sorry, but I can't ever see you again. I can't see any more people suffer through so much. I know you're probably just confused and maybe even scared right now, but I hope you know to do the right thing. After I post this, I'll be heading into my garage to run a hose from the exhaust of my car through the driver's side window and maybe listen to my favorite REM album one last time. To everybody else, please stay in your homes, lock your doors and keep your loved ones close. Good luck.